Hello, slow parenting family from across the globe. Welcome once again to your program, the Slow Parenting Podcast. Welcome back from the holiday season. I know that some of us are still holidaying. We're still on break. Some of us, most of us, never went on break. Yes, but we're not online. But then there's so many other things that have to happen behind the scenes. So welcome to the very first episode of the Slow Parenting podcast for the year 2025. My name is Richie Adewusi. Welcome. I can't stop. Oh, I can welcome you enough. I wanted to say I can't stop welcoming you. Same thing. I can't welcome you enough. So thank you for all the time you spent with us throughout the year 2024. We really appreciate that, and we still appreciate you being here with us. And to start with, if you have not managed to subscribe to our podcast, please do so. Your subscription will support us, will help us to um, clock up the necessary points to help us get on with doing more on this program. Okay. So thank you so much as you do that. And besides subscription, do try to engage. Okay. Leave your questions, especially on YouTube, on the live podcast on YouTube. You can also leave your concerns and questions on any of our social media handles, even outside of the live podcast. You can be sure we'll always respond. Okay, we're not charging you money for responding to your questions and engaging contributions. Okay, we appreciate them, and please do also share the podcast to your friends, families, and people who are still trying to start up families to start having children. Okay, today we are going to be starting the year with some serious business. Every episode is a serious business, and then we're going to the serious end of the serious business. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the issue of discipline. Yes, discipline. Okay. Uh, you might say, "Wow, isn't it too early in the year?" Or don't spoil the mood. There's nothing to spoil. Like we're only telling you that it's always better to get things laid out properly at the beginning so that in the middle you can sleep, and then at the end you can sleep and sleep well. So discipline is important, is key in the issue around parenting. As we do our parenting job, or as we plan to get on with doing our parenting job, you must have your mind made up about having to have your children, be people that would behave, okay? Not robots, but behave in accordance with certain set, rules, expectations. Um, that word expectation is becoming toxic to some people these days, uh, in correlation with freedoms and all of that. But even within those freedoms and expectations, okay, like we've said severally on this program, the word freedom doesn't exist in a vacuum. Okay. If you take a coin, coins, usually good coins, not counterfeit coins, should always have head and tail. Okay. On a coin of a human experience that you have freedom or human concept of freedom, on the flip side of that freedom is a word called responsibility. So if you like, the freedom is the head, responsibility or consequences, the tail end of the coin. So we're going to be talking about uh, those issues on this program today. But then first, let me introduce you to two concepts that have been maybe misunderstood over time, especially in recent times. Okay. Uh, we're going to be using them in the course of this podcast to help us to see which is better, which is best, which is much more fruitful. Okay. When we're saying better, best, we're talking in terms of which is much more productive, much more useful and fruitful in our parenting job, especially in yielding that bonding relationship uh, with our children. In using even the best kind of concepts, parenting job, like what we say, is a team event. It's not a solo 100-meter dash. No, it's a relay, it's a marathon. Okay, it's a full-time, lifetime job done but that needs to be done. I'm addressing you who agree in the team roles and then set out to have their children grow up abiding by utilizing those agreed team rules. Okay, abiding by and using those agreed team rules. So in this regard, I'd want to introduce you to what is termed fear-based parenting and gentle parenting. Okay. What the word fear, we don't need to describe it or explain it too much, or rather, uh, probably needs no explanation. But then no, because this is um, a teaching program, if you like, educational program, educative program, we'll still need to take things, fear, when all the child sees is, you know, order, you know, if you don't do this, if you don't do this, must do this, do this, do this. They get things done. Okay. Fear parenting is exemplified by um, characteristics about the kid is things like behavior or practices like shouting, screaming. Okay. And over time, the children actually could get conditioned to those. So I was trying to describe issues in fear-based parenting. Okay, fear-based parenting is characterized by screaming, shouting, ordering, and physical, if you like, punishment. All right, the children or the child in question or involved might ultimately get conditioned to those things. Okay, and get you to have your way, as it were, at those points in getting to do the things you want them done in those particular ways you understand that those things will be done. And therein lies part of the problem, okay, with that. A part of physical, traumas that the child will face over time, the child gets limited, to doing those things exactly the way you want them done. Creativity, exploring, experimenting, that. Okay? So the child would never get to learn to do those things really by themselves and maybe find other ways of doing that same thing. Okay? Except because you have not allowed for that to happen. So there's no room to experiment or to try out. It's, presently, as if it's just a coincidence. But then, well, I don't think the word coincidence is just really what it is. There's a video trending on social media about a teacher in Nigeria uh, who was physically, if you like, abusing a child over writing the number 6. Okay. what you want is this number 6 to be written. To start with, if I wish we could show that video, but I won't, because again, the physical abuse involved is disturbing for me and would be disturbing for quite a number of people who are supposed to be normal human beings. Okay. Now, to start with, the teacher was seated across a table. The child is standing. Could, hardly, the table is almost the same height with the child. And the teacher is saying, right, sits like this. And then the child probably don't get it and it gets to work. Even if that child were to get to write the 6 the way the teacher is saying it should, that would be the only way that child would, you you know. There's so many other, you know, all of us don't write things the same way. Okay? All of us don't learn things the same way, same time, same rate. So it's important that parents understand that this is a teacher. Maybe he said, okay, well, I have so much time with you. I have to go home. So if that teacher will be doing that to someone else's child in school, well, your guess is as good as mine as to what might happen or what might be happening with her own children if she does have it. Okay, so it's that's fear-based parenting. If you don't get it, I'm going to beat you up. So out of fear for getting beat up, the child, complies maliciously. So that's what we call malicious compliance. Okay? The child hasn't complied voluntarily, willingly. Okay? It's not something that comes out from the child. There is a punishment tool waiting. Some parents will say, well, that's the only thing my children know. If you don't raise your voice, they won't understand. Well, because you have conditioned them that way. It didn't happen one day. It wasn't something that started one. Okay. I was having a telephone conversation with a friend of mine. Um, and the children were coming around. Oh, mommy, actually pecking her, just really getting cordial. Like, let me get away. I'm on the phone. I'm like, afterwards, um, okay, we have a community member. The question we'll get to it in a moment, and it's. I said to her afterwards, why don't you try attending to that child? Yes, the harm is already done. It's already come into the picture. You're having a discussion on the phone. Yes. So that error or whatever did not happen today. It happened a long time ago. You did not set the tone for what needs to happen when you are phone. So that child is not going to learn that now, but you can do something else to assuage that child and then have that conversation later, okay? Why you just say to that child, okay, return the peg, peg the child, cuddle the child, okay, okay, go away, darling. I'm on the phone now, okay? I'm going to get back to you immediately, okay? Just go away, I'm on the phone now. And she did that, and the child basically walked away, and she was like, wow, that's like magic. I said, yes, it's magic because, you know, the child wanted attention. You hadn't set those boundaries, which is what will take us now to the issue of gentle parenting, or the ones that you call, it's also known, well, previously known as authoritative parenting. Authoritative parenting. When we say fear-based parenting, immediately people know you probably, yes, this is what fear-based parenting is. So You must do this or you get this. Okay? Punishments. Okay? Screaming, shouting, and all of that, and other forms of physical restraints and uh, punishment are involved in that. So you could put fear-based parenting in a park and put a label and say this is what it is. On the other hand, gentle parenting, that is also known as authoritative parenting, which we'll call slow parenting, by the way. Okay, it's not one thing. So so people tend to confuse it for what it is. So it's not a one size fit all parenting style for all children. For all children. What I mean by all children is even your own children, they are not the same. So you cannot possibly use one size, uh, you know, or style or pattern of thinking or to resolve issues with them, especially around discipline. In the course of this program, we've had many editions that we talked about. Okay, you are saying something to a particular child. The child doesn't get up from where he or she is seated. And then the next thing is, well, you get angry. You know, that's you the fear-based parenting shows up. Okay. And then maybe you physically get to that child and then some unpleasant things happen and well, the child will obey you and go to do whatever it is. But then there are issues involved. Number one, it could actually be, yes, true, the child could be mischievous and just heard you and didn't just want to. Yeah, there are such children. It could also be that the child didn't hear you, didn't understand what you were saying. So first you have to be sure that the child did or does understand your instructions or what the message you're trying to pass to the child, that the child actually heard you properly and does understand the instruction or the message clearly. Okay. And then you now want to now find out the reason for non-compliance. The reason for non-compliance could actually be that while that child is on that couch, that child could be doing something else that is important to the child and maybe to you as well. Let me give an example of an important thing that the child could be doing that's important to you. The child could be doing his or her homework. But then at the moment, you are calling out the child to say, go do this or get off that place, go to some other place. Some children will respond and say, okay, mommy, just a moment, depending on what you have said about family communication and instructions. If you hadn't had those discussions about when so happened, this is how we are all expected to respond to solution, which is now what we call setting boundaries. And we have said in the course of this program that boundaries are not things that you set or they are not determined by you as a parent unilaterally. You discuss and agree on boundaries with your children. So there is corporate ownership of the issues that you said, let's not go this way. And that has to include you. Yes, it has to include you. Okay. And then should anyone decide to turn left instead of the right that we have all agreed on, these are going to be the sad consequences of breaking any or those boundaries. You agree. So it stands to reason that the child will already know that when he does something, say, okay, I missed it. I'm sorry that because there's ownership. So boundary setting corporately done, meaning you as parents and your children agreeing on what to do about specific issues in the family, with family members, outside of the family, with non family members, in school, in church, in community environment, in other community environments. You agree on all of them. So you save yourself the headache of you now go for a function with your children and you did not tell them, look, no matter how hungry you are, don't eat when we get there. You didn't have that discussion. You never had that discussion. And you expect that the children should know automatically by magic that when they get there, they are children, remember? And they're given candies. Candies go around, shared, okay, candy. And then you are there fuming. Wait, we'll get home today. You might not even wait till you get home before you want to exercise the candy eating demon from the child. You have been or you were part of the problem that got that child, whatever it is that might have made you to say, don't eat anything outside. You need to discuss, agree, and let the children have an understanding of why they don't need to do specific things. I keep saying on this program that if your children are anything like my son, when you discuss one thing, be ready for 10 questions to why, how, when, really? Oh, wait a minute. What if it's Auntie XYZ that gives me the candy? Is Auntie XYZ myself or your daddy? No. Okay. So you understand. Aside myself and your daddy. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's what you mean. Yes. So you don't lose your patience because you are making decisions of a lifetime, decisions that will save you headaches. Okay. Going forward. Because eventually the child will know when some of those boundaries would have been broken, that they have done so themselves, and then would be in positions to correct themselves or apologize for, I know I did something wrong. Then it now depends on you what you want to do with those consequences that you had already agreed on. Sometimes you don't have to apply the consequences when the child realizes that and confesses and owns up. I missed it this time. Okay? But sometimes, which which should be most times, still applied, but joke, in a fun way. Okay, you know that this shouldn't go unattended to, or you say, no, daddy. Yeah, good. You go ahead, whatever it is that you do, in a fun way. Okay? So gentle parenting is a combination, okay, of boundary setting, corporate boundary setting, and application of communication skills, because you cannot be expecting your children to, apply concepts that you have not discussed, that you're not agreed on. In the way your family, we always say, have those boundaries set using your cultural, traditional, and family values and etiquette as backdrops. So you have some things that are larger than yourself, okay, that you point to, that you draw the attention of the children to. If you like, quote your own parents. Don't worry, you'll get called old school in some of the issues involved. Agree you are old school. Let them know that that's what has got you to that age, kept you alive, or helped you to, manage to pass through different levels of education and then arrive at work and or business or whichever one, and then be where you are because you listen and followed agreed boundaries. That's called discipline. Okay. The one you force, the fear-based discipline or parenting would most likely have the children behave in those ways that you want when you are around. When you are not around, or when because they'll be looking forward to, when they're away from you. Oh, soon I'll leave this house. Soon I'll leave this house. But that's when you work as a team. If you don't work as a team, one of the parents is saying, these are the things we agreed on, and the child goes crying to the other parent and say, see what mommy has said, and he say, what mommy? Don't worry, go and do what you are doing. You've messed everything up. You scattered everything. So you confuse the children. So you are, without knowing it, training them on how to manipulate both of you. Okay? So in that case, both the parenting, fear-based parenting, and gentle parenting wouldn't work. Okay? The children would have taken sides, even there in the home. And they're just waiting for time to now tell you, after all, I'm an adult, so I can do what I want. Sure, you are an adult, you can do what you want. But on the reverse side of doing what you want is still that magic word called responsibility, garnished with consequences. Yes. Okay. So teamwork is very vital, very important, and foundational when it comes to gentle parenting. But in certain circumstances, unavoidably, um, a parent might be the only one valuable to, care for the children. It could be issues with health, passing away, or travel. But even with travel these days, with technology, that's not an issue. I am here on this podcast. Anybody anywhere in the world can access this podcast. So the same way, parents, you could make out time for all of you to be on Zoom, to be on WhatsApp or whatever application that you use to communicate, and all of you are there and discuss your family issues periodically. You can decide to do so. You can even have your prayer time online every day. Even if you are scattered across the different continents of the world, wherever you are, get the time for everybody coming together and go online. And the same way, when issues come up, if it's about travel, that's what I mean. If it's about travel, then all of you are not in the same thing. But if one of the parents is no longer alive, okay, well, there's nothing. You can send a Zoom link down there to say, okay, join us. So that's not possible. So in that case, the parent that's still alive now has a responsibility of, but then can also leverage on what would have been happening when that other parent was still alive with them, and also remind the children. You can actually also use it to blackmail the children, really, to say, well, if your mother were here, she wouldn't like that. Or if your father were here, that's not what we had agreed on. Okay, to honor him, to obey him, please just help me, and help yourself behave this way. And you'll be surprised at the magic that that could do in the behavior of the children. I'm going to pause at this point and then get us to watch a very short video. Okay. When children behave in certain ways, where this whole talk is like it's as if um we have the same type of children behaving in one particular way, but no, we don't have. I just talked about the issue of the child who was having challenges to being able to write the figure six. It might have been, she might that child, he was a boy. That boy might have managed to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Gets to six, and that's an issue. He says, yes, you're spending time with that child alone, but they're spending that time wrong. Okay? Even the fear of the physical abuse is enough to unsettle the child, and that child will be able to put it all together to be able to do what you're asking the child to do. All right? But then, what do we do with children who choose to be, well, violent or unruly, especially to adults, including even anybody, even children like themselves or their parents? What do we do? Even in climes where I say, well, the children, there's nowhere children should be left to just behave the way they like without regard to family values, cultural values, and tradition. No. Okay. In this video, we're going to show you now. You will see how a brother reacted to a particular uh, behavior of a child. And when we come back, well, watch it. Leave in comments in the comment section. What's your response or what you feel about the way the child's behavior, the father's response or behavior, and the mother's response or behavior. See you at the end of the
That's too late to say sorry right now. You're gonna have to say sorry in a minute. We do not throw things at anybody, especially on our heads. I'll tell you this later. You heard you.
Welcome back. It's usually very short videos that we show you here. Now, depending on how you see what just happened on that video, would it have been okay for the mother to sit and just watch the child just throw a tantrum, behave in very disrespectful ways to the father, and then the father either confused or afraid of responding and the consequences of how that gets up, takes the child, and then, okay, go there, sit down there. They don't do that here. So now, my question to you is, would that be fear-based parenting or gentle parenting? What do you think? Which one do you think it is? While you are thinking about that, there was a question earlier uh, from a community member. He said, don't you think fear-based parenting, especially flogging, is needed to some extent as long as it doesn't get excessive? The answer is no. You don't need flogging if which is also why we say don't react. All of us have been there. Okay, so don't think that you're looking at a saint. You're not. Okay, we've been there, but again, how do you feel even after, maybe you've claimed the child and all of that? And I have a live example myself as I was growing up. Of course, I had parents. Yes, two of them, yes, that like should be a father and a mother. Yes, you're laughing. Go ahead, laugh along with me. Now, my father never for one day, lift a finger like this me just to push my head. Not one day. I can't remember it. But was that the same thing with my mother? No. If you get to read my book, Seven and a Half Temptation Parents Face, I actually dealt with the issue of, the discipline. I think was actually the fifth temptation or so, the fifth or sixth temptation in that book, if my memory serves me well. Okay? But I described my mother's reaction to issues differently. And I'll repeat it here. Okay? You are doing something right, you are washing the dishes or something, and then accidentally one just hits the floor and then separates into a million fragments. My mom would click, oh, nothing usually happens when this thing happens. Okay, that goes. Okay, you feel like nothing happened. You come second, don't hurt yourself, and she sweep clear up. Good. That goes that day. Okay. Another day maybe you're playing your football and somehow the football mistakenly enters the sitting room and lands. Maybe she's eating or something and lands in the bowl she had used to wash hands to eat her food. She'll be like, what's wrong with you? Okay, it takes your football. Well, sometimes you seize the football and say, okay, mister, you could have played enough. Or you will just throw it back at you. Remember, two things are gone. Maybe another day, just another day. Listen, another day, it might just be that her snuff box on the table, you are just passing by, maybe accidentally your hand touches it. Its close is tight, you know, you know, cocked tightly, and it didn't spill, but it just fell. Yeah? And you walk away. And my mom will call you, Chilewa. Mm-hmm. Um, go and bring me XYZ from my bedroom. Of course, you have not linked anything. You not think you did anything really wrong. Because, you're going off. And what she's asked you to go bring might actually be where she is. At. Or it might be in such a location in the room that you will not find it. Of course, she deliberately sent you to the room there. Okay. The only point in time when you would know that you're already in the court for judgment is when you now see my mother standing between you and the doorway. Then you remember all your sins because she would actually read them to you from the china that broke maybe a month or 2 or 3 or 6 ago to the ball you kicked at the hand and then to the small box you did not prove. That was an extreme one. But then it happened. I'm talking from experience, and all my siblings will remember all those things. So there's and nobody. And at that time, our mother was what you would call a single mother because it was mostly during the time of the Civil War. Our father was in the southwest of Nigeria. We were with our mother in the southeast of Nigeria throughout the period of Civil War. So it was her, just her. Okay? But did that make us hate her? No. Today I pray for her and thank God for her and all of that in some ways. But on the other hand, I learned so many things. I've just written a new book and I dedicated that book to about 7 people, including my father. And I shared in that dedication, page or those dedication pages, how he inspired me without. Okay, so if you like, My mother was fear-based discipline. Yes, that's as physical as it gets, as concrete as it gets. And my dad exhibited gentle parenting. Okay. And I also gave some examples about some decisions I had to take, certain things that happened to me, and they said, okay, no, just don't do this. Don't giving you examples, going back to tradition, pointing you to no, this is not how, this was not how. So you're looking at him, how he will respond in certain situations that are similar to the ones you're talking about. And you're like, oh yeah. So corporal punishment, which you call flogging, it's not the best way. First, most as we were growing up, children who always used to, my mom wouldn't really cane you. No, she did often, but most times she wouldn't even cane you. But what she would do would be you would prefer her to just cane you and get it over with. But I don't want to go into describing any of those. It was a classical example of fear-based parenting with my mom. Okay? It worked because you didn't want that to happen. But then again, remember I said there's no one size fits all in it. Out of fifth of her children, the ones after me were twins. Well, maybe because they were the last born, or maybe because Mama was getting old and tired. Those fellas got away with blue mother. Things that we dared not to do, they got away with. And we're like, is it the same mother that would have to put somebody? But, so you also have to have that understanding that it's not what child A does, but then you also, in doing that, you create a problem which would let the children believe that you have some favorites among them. We did feel that time because when my younger siblings misbehaved and nothing happened to them, like, okay, if it's me that did this now, that will happen, and you will look at you and just smile. Okay. And this ones will just get on with their naughtiness. Nothing happened. Lessons not learned. Okay. Lessons not learned. We all have our lives and lifestyles and all of that before us now to look back to see, you know, what benefits were there in certain types of behavior when we were growing up vis-a-vis instruction and discipline. Okay? Okay, there's another one here. So, but sorry, that one has if you like, I can say, as long as it doesn't get excessive. What's excessive? One time could be excessive. The teacher that was, you know, abusing that child for not being able to write since it was one time, it was excessive. Okay, so it's actually, the mindset. We say don't discipline your children when you're upset, when you're frustrated. Don't think about, find a way, find creative ways to think about your action before putting them to practice. Okay, that's what I would say to that. He said, what advice would you give to parents dealing with rebellious teenagers who reject both fear-based and gentle-based? Well, first of all, you said teenagers. You see, that territory in itself is a study. Okay, adolescents. Now, again, it's also not every young person that behave the same way during the adolescent period. So here is why it's important that parents know their children individually, because they won't all take up behavioral patterns the same way. They will not behave the same way. And you'll be able to know that, oh, this is not how this child uh, would behave normally. Something is wrong. So you go into, you know, that conversation to find out what it is. The child will be struggling with something he doesn't understand, that the only way is to act out what is feeling, and then we say it's rebellious. Yes, it comes out as rebellious, but that rebellion is a symptom of something, might be a symptom of something deeper. So you need to work to find out. If you know your children, you are in a position to know that this is not the normal way this child would have responded or behaved in this area. But a child who already has a rebellious behavioral pattern, that you should have ab initio create a bottle to take care of as time goes on. Of course, with constant communication, constant dialogue, instructions, agreements. If you like, with carrot and stick, he gets something right, he gets this, he doesn't get it right. Maybe the allowance, maybe that is delayed, or we find ways to work those things out. It's not possible that none of the two patterns work. Besides, you do not want to get into um fear-based parenting with your adolescent children. It wouldn't work. That's actually because, again, that's when you hear, is it because I'm in your house? After all, I'm 18, so I'm an adult now. So you get you have top back situations and scenarios that you don't want, and talk back lead to some other things, and then crazy things happen, and then everybody live to regret, some of those scenarios. So basically, dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. Okay, not shout, not scream. Remember, you are still the parent. You still have the upper hand, and there are still things that the children depend on you on. Well, you can decide to use those things as your bargaining chips to get people to behave the way they need to behave. Okay, I'll give an example. Someone says, "Look, I've been washing your car since I've been whatever. I'm not going to wash it again, please." Oh, okay, all right. You're not going to wash the car, all right? No problem. That was John. Samuel, yes, daddy. "Mm, could you kindly wash my car?" Okay, daddy. He goes to wash it, and dinner or lunch or breakfast time, the time that all of you have dinner together, you pull up your wallet and you take a 5 or 10 or 20, and then you know uh, you hand it to Samuel. You say, "Thank you for washing my car. This is you know." Oh, you to rub it in if you like. Yeah, use the word rub it in. You got to make people behave themselves sometimes. I will come back to that. I'll come back to a video I watched to about something like that, and then also it evoked a whole lot of comments, and it's okay. The exact amount that is supposed to be John's allowance for that week, you can make all of it what you give to Samuel. And when John comes, I say, "Oh, you want the allowance? I'm giving it to Samuel. Why would this Samuel my allowance? Oh, Samuel washed my car. You've made a point. Yes. Okay. Because your question here is what advice would you give to parents dealing with rebellious teenagers who reject fear? Sure. You're a teenager now, you are grown up, right? Good, but you still eat, right? Okay, you still spend money, you started earning your own money. No, your own money, you still live in this place. And we um somehow we have values and boundaries we have all agreed on in this family that we need to follow, incidentally. So there's no fear. You still remain with gentle parenting. Remember, we said gentle parenting is characterized by setting boundaries that are, built on your traditions, your culture, your family value and etiquette, discussed and agreed on, with the consequences for breaking them agreed on upfront. So all you are doing in situations is just evoke the agreed consequence. That's all. They say, we agreed on if you don't do what you are asked to do, somebody else does it. That person gets the reward that's supposed to. Oh, yes, okay, daddy. But that was, we didn't say my allowance. Well, we said what the word that should go. Your allowance is a reward now. Abi, did you put money in my pocket? No, daddy. Okay, I will go and wash the car now. But it's washed now. No, I'll go and wash it now. Well, like remember we said resolve consequences fun with. You can let him go wash the car. The important thing is you've gotten the child to do what needs to be done. So that money is really wasn't really the issue. Yeah, that I'm going to wash the car now. Means the money. Okay. Well, but he has learned that he need to wash the car next time. So there's no rebellion. There's no breaking of boundaries. I'm not going to wash your car. Okay. Yeah. He goes to wash it. You give him the money. Okay. The brother just earned some extra pocket money. Yep. Okay. Um, there's another feedback here from the comedian. But say gentle parenting is good, but that child needed a slap. Wow. The slap will create another scenario that might actually bring welfare to your home. That might actually send you to police station to sleep in the jail. Okay. You don't want that. Outside of the social welfare, which are all external, the child gets conditioned to that's the only thing that happens. And if it doesn't happen, if you are not the one, I can use my mom to give example concerning myself, ourselves. Okay. If the one that does the slapping is not around, that child will misbehave in ways you won't imagine. So you don't want to introduce that. Okay? You don't want to introduce that. This is our family. This is our gathering. I'm talking about what happened in the video now. This is our family. This is our gathering. To relate and cohabit with us here, you need to behave in an acceptable way to be in our midst. And if you behave in ways that are not acceptable, we'll remove you. You go and stay somewhere away from us till your head calms down. That was what happened. So the slap wasn't necessary at all. Okay? That child would want to come back to sit with the parents. Okay? All right. Now, the other question, which will be probably the last one here, is what's the role of a of natural consequences in discipline, and when should parents intervene? Do I really understand what I mean? What is the role of natural consequences in discipline, and when should parents intervene? Well, natural consequences. Let me talk about the one that readily comes to my mind. Your teenage son or your teenage daughter decides to get sexually active and someone gets pregnant or gets infected with something. Okay? Well, you need to intervene as soon as it comes to your notice. You don't play I told you so. Get the problem sorted out first. If it's a pregnancy issue, okay, have an agreement. Let the child know. Okay, well, you had a state of mind to go get pregnant or to go get somebody pregnant. So you're ready to be a mother. You're ready to be a father. So get ready. There is no abortion. No, in this family, we've agreed. Abortion is no. Okay, so whether it's the boy or the girl, both of them are pregnant. Both the person that got person is somebody pregnant and the one that is pregnant, both of them are pregnant. Both of them already have their futures with question marks already because they have become uh, father and mother at an age where they had no business becoming father and mother. So they must learn to begin to take the responsibilities. You have those conversations and they understand it. And the woman that's pregnant carries the pregnancy to term with all the help. You don't push the child out of the house and say, no, it's your business, go and meet. No, no, you don't do that. Support that child to have the baby, but you will care for the baby. sit at home or whatever for whatever time is needed for the child to be weaned, and then before not going back to start the education back, because you get to know that you stopped your own education or whatever other vocations you are engaged in before you got pregnant. You too that got somebody pregnant. This is where the issue of teamwork, become part of where it becomes important. Both sets of parents now must work at this. This is not the time to bicker and shout at each other because you are talking about another life, the child. Okay? You're talking about another life, the child. If you do not handle it well, that child will grow up, will take the same route in life. You don't want that. You don't want to perpetuate that. So everyone must learn the lessons that they must learn. We all have our stories. Okay? It's part of the lessons I've learned on my own that got me to start this project in the very first place. Okay? So now, if that's what you mean, and I want to believe that, be it or by natural consequences in discipline, and when parents should intervene, you should intervene. If it's an infection issue, please treat the infection, and then have the discussion about did you like the feel of the injections? No, it was too painful. Oh, okay, too painful. Eh? If it resulted in any kind of surgery, did you like the feel of the blade? No, okay. Would that happen? No, yeah. Have those discussions, but then help, help, help. Don't sit back and say it's not your business. You got into this, and then you take care of it. Okay, no. So people, uh, this is where we call it a day on our program, your program, the Slow Parenting Podcast on Nostalgia Media. My name is Richie Adewusi. Thank you for being with us today. The very first podcast for the year 2025. From next week, we're going to well continue on this trend to look at certain behavioral patterns that you know you don't want your children to, and you, the children yourselves, you don't want to. And when we say children now, in the videos that we're going to play back in those episodes, we're going to look at children in of all ages, from toddlers to adolescents, even to young adults, behaving in ways that are not, what should be helpful to their parents and to themselves. Okay. So thank you so very much for being part of our show today. Okay. Remember, this is still the Slow Parenting Podcast. It's still the same time every Wednesday, uh, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and 7 p.m. West African Time, including Nigeria. Please always remember to visit our YouTube channel for more videos. Please subscribe to support us. Do engage. We thank everyone that sent in questions or viewpoints or feedback on today's episode. I look forward to seeing you again same time next week. Bye bye.